Welcome back to Hannity Colmes. I'm Mark Stein, sitting in for Sean. John McCain receives a ringing endorsement from Henry Kissinger. And now 2 new polls show that he's on the rise. Rasmussen Report's latest New Hampshire poll shows that Mitt Romney's holding steady at 31%, with McCain rising to 27% support. No other candidate appears to be within striking distance. And a CNN WMUR New Hampshire primary poll paints a similar picture, with McCain overtaking Rudy Giuliani. We continue now with our panel. Jonathan, can McCain pull off a double and win in 2008 in New Hampshire as he did in 2000?
I think it's very possible. I think that the polls you cite certainly have some good news for McCain there. Look, his presidential hopes lie in New Hampshire. That's where he's got to get a victory on January the 8th. If he can, that may really change the equation of this campaign. But if he comes up short, that's probably going to be the end of his aspirations.
Now, there's also been a couple of movements in the national polls where Rudy Giuliani held a lead. It now looks as if that is much more fluid than Giuliani thought. Is Rudy, in fact, Bob, on the verge of a meltdown here?
I'd say not only the verge of a meltdown, but the water's getting hotter every minute. Look, one of the things you're seeing from all this is this whole field is backing up to John McCain, because they've taken a look at the field, they've looked at Rudy Giuliani, his gunslinger attitude, and they've looked at the rest of them. And by the way, I don't know about the rest of you, but I was just at the edge of my seat waiting to see who Tancredo was going to endorse. It was such a big deal. But let's put it this way. John McCain, I think, is going to win New Hampshire. I've said this for the last 4 or 5 months. When you look at this field as a whole, they're nothing, and John McCain is something, and John McCain is the one person we fear more than anybody else.
Hey, Tammy, Rudy had this kind of 1-800 national strategy. He didn't want to bother with Iowa, didn't want to bother with New Hampshire, South Carolina. You're a Rudy supporter.
I am.
Why didn't that work out for him?
Well, you know, I think this has always been a horse race, and it's not as though he didn't not care about those states. He did, but he's running for a national position. The truth of the matter is, when you're looking at what Americans are responding to, and this is the McCain situation's interesting. The Lieberman endorsement did help him a lot, but remember, it is illegal immigration which remains the bigger issue here. And I do think that Rudy, when it comes to certain issues, perhaps there was high expectations for him. He met some of those, not necessarily all of them, but when it comes right down to it, when you're in there voting, you're going to think about who is going to take this nation to the future, who's going to at least be better on the borders than someone like John McCain, or even, frankly, a teamwork. You have a Giuliani-McCain ticket discussion that's been going on that could really appeal to Americans across the board. This race isn't over, and just because Giuliani's lead is a little bit less doesn't mean that he's tanking by any means.
Here's an interesting thing. In one of these polls, Bob, shows McCain even sneaking up in Iowa. So that suggests it's not just New Hampshire looking for a Huckabee alternative.
Yeah, it's also happened in South Carolina. Look, let me get back. Tammy, not much. I mean, Rudy Giuliani went from 50% plus in the polls about 90 days ago, and now he's down to 20. I mean, I don't know what you call that, except for a meltdown.
We move forward here. Two names I never thought I'd see in the same sentence, Mike Huckabee and Jamie Lynn Spears. And here's Mike Huckabee commenting on... he will not condemn her. Now, how that's going to sit with his far-right constituency? He says it's a tragedy when a 16-year-old is not really prepared for the responsibilities of adult life. He says, but she's not making the right decisions here. Or she is actually to have the child. He's actually applauding her for having the child. Let's take a look here.
It's a tragedy when a 16-year-old who's not really prepared for all the responsibilities of adult life is going to be now faced with the responsibilities of honest-to-goodness adult life. I respect it. Apparently she's going to have the child, and I think that's the right decision and a good decision, and I respect that and appreciate it. I hope it's not an encouragement to other 16-year-olds to think that that's the best course of action. But at the same time, I'm not going to condemn her.
Jonathan Martin, is that the right tone for Mike Huckabee?
Al, my question is, who actually asked Mike Huckabee that question? With all that's facing the world and the country right now, we're going to ask a presidential candidate, a guy who actually may win the nomination, about some pop culture triviality. It's beyond me why I was asked.
I'm impressed that he knew who she was. I mean, you know.
Well, no, exactly. But look, Huckabee gave a good answer. He's very good off the cuff, and obviously he encouraged her to keep the child because he's pro-life, and a lot of his supporters are pro-life. So in that sense, that was the right answer.
All right, you know, Bob Kerrey had had apologized to Barack Obama because he talks about he's glad his name is Barack Hussein Obama, that his father was a Muslim, that his paternal grandmother was a Muslim.
Madrasa.
I said he went to a secular madrasa, which is an oxymoron I've ever heard of.
What that means, right?
And so Bob Beckel, now he says he's sorry, he didn't mean it. He realizes now he was using the narrative that the far right uses to denounce Barack Obama by using all those key phrases. What was he thinking?
Well, first of all, I believe Bob Kerrey if he says it was a mistake. But look, every time they make a mistake in the Clinton operation, they repeat it by sending letters of apology. And so you get the same issue all over again. And by the way, Mark, can we get this right? I know you're from another place, but it's not Obama, it's Obama.
They also very quickly asked, there's a poll out there, who's smarter, Bill Clinton or Hillary Clinton? We're going to put that up very quickly on the screen, and I think most people said Hillary Clinton smarter than Bill Clinton. What do you make of that, Tammy Bruce?
Well, I think that if she was carrying around a Tide-to-Go pen throughout the time they were in the White House, she would have been the smarter one, but she didn't. So I think just by default, Bill Clinton becomes the smarter one.
You're saying the woman should do the cooking and cleaning, Tammy? Is that your point?
No, I think just if you're married to Bill Clinton, you need to make sure you can get stains out where they don't belong.
I see. It's good to revisit all the golden oldies, huh? Bob Beckel, nice to hear that one again.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah, leave it up to Tammy to make that point. I tell you, what else can you say after that? I'll just let it go. Okay?
We have nothing. We just end the segment. That's what we do. We thank you all very much for being with us. Coming up.